Well, on this 22nd day of March 2023, the church has officially and formally offered to mediate between President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga. We have the details on that. Plus, tonight, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza brigades dig in on their hardline positions on the mass protests.
And this is a conversation as we came here to serve Bwana Bungei. Notification of our meetings on Monday and Thursday.
There is no reason whatsoever for anyone to stand in the way of free enterprise, disrupt business, or sabotage economic activity.
As the clergy now pledges to bring the two leaders on the negotiating table.
That by sitting and dialogue can resolve this dangerous standoff.
Two people killed in two separate banditry attacks in Baringo and Elgeyo Marakwet.
Hizi ni miezi sita imepita, watu wetu bado wanauawa.
As residents say they are yet to see the impact of the joint police and military operation.
Kama serikali if bandits ambayo hawana inawia, hawana training, hawana sophisticated, hawana helicopter, overrun the military and overrun the police.
Also tonight, Kenya on high alert over the confirmation of an outbreak of Marburg in neighboring Tanzania. Residents in border counties say they fear for their lives.
It's a discussion that's ongoing at national level. We have a forum for CECs in the entire country, and we are discussing that on our forum as CECs.
Good evening. News Tonight begins now. My name is Eric Munene. Our sign language interpreter at the bottom end of your screen is Rhoda Nyamai. Two people have lost their lives after attacks by suspected armed bandits in the counties of Baringo and Elgeyo Marakwet. This comes in the midst of a police and military joint operation meant to flush out bandits from the northern counties. Chichi Josephine kickstarts this bulletin tonight.
Even as security personnel remain on guard in the northern counties in the ongoing operation to flush out bandits, the rate at which people are losing lives in Baringo North and Elgeyo Marakwet counties continues to cause concern countrywide. The latest incident being just today, where two people lost their lives in two separate attacks in Baringo and Elgeyo Marakwet.
Watoto wangu wale wanaitwa Kabilela wamemalizika. Hapo wote wamemaliza.
Sai wakora wanaona serikali hawana nguvu hata moja. Ndio sasa sisi tutaishi sasa katika hali ya kunyongwa kama wananchi.
In the first attack, one person was shot dead in Murkoto area of Marakwet East by suspected armed bandits who also made away with 20 herds of cattle and 40 goats.
Hizi ni miezi sita imepita, watu wetu bado wanauawa. Na saa hizi Mheshimiwa Rais, watu wetu wamechoka mpaka wanatuuliza kwani mko serikali ama mko opposition.
Nataka niambie rais, hii serikali yako ikikuwa overrun na bandits ambaye hata wanaindawia, tutakuwa tukifanya nini kwa Kenya hii? Kama serikali if bandits ambaye hawana inawia, hawana training, hawana sophisticated, hawana helicopter, overrun the military and overrun the police, then nini mebaki?
In the second incident, a middle-aged man was shot dead by an unknown number of suspected armed bandits while herding his livestock in Kosile area, Baringo County, and an unknown number of livestock driven away towards Loya Morok in Tiati constituency.
Tulitoa honyo kwa serikali ya kwamba tumeitisha jeshi ndio umetupatia. Lakini mchikasa nati kwa sababu kuleta jeshi ni kiwango ya mwisho. It is a last option. If jeshi wakishindwa, what happens? This becomes a banana republic.
The man became the third person to lose his life in less than a week in Baringo, as the bodies of those who were shot dead previously are still lying at Baringo County Referral Hospital.
Wamama wanasaa msituni, watoto wanalala msituni, shule hakuna, watu wanakufa.
With the unabated killings, the government declared an operation in 6 counties. The first phase of the operation yielded no fruits, as more killings have been reported in Baringo despite heavy presence of both the Kenya Defence Force and the police.
Tunataka kuomba rais. You have brought army officers here and the police, but there is nothing which is going on here, Your Excellency.
Kama wamekosa kazi, hii mabunduki wako nayo Jimulingota hapo wamekaa wanalala na kula nyama, wapatie raia waende wanyoroshe hii ingine. Afadhali wapatie sisi hiyo silaha tuende tunyoroshana na hawa watu kuliko kwa sababu sisi tunachua msitu, tunachua kila kitu.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
Now, despite heeding to the call by Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki to evacuate specific areas that are bandit hideouts, families in Loibongare, Samburu County are facing a humanitarian crisis. The families who are joining hands to build makeshift camps are lamenting the harsh weather and starvation, further calling on the government to make their pledge true and provide aid to them. Stanley Nyeringita reports.
It is a beehive of activity here in Loibongare, Samburu County. As these women rush against time to make their new homes with sticks before dusk dawns. Beatrice Lesuruto has lit a fire to boil water in this small makeshift camp as she ponders what her next meal will be.
Hatuna chakula, tunakaa tu hivi. Hakuna kitu yoyote. Hakuna pahali ya kulala, tunalala kwa hii manyumba. Hatuna hata watoto wetu wamekufa, ng'ombe imeenda, mbuzi, kitu yote imeenda.
Lesuruto's case is just a tip of the iceberg here. Despite heeding to the call to evacuate bandit hideouts, including Malasso Escarpment, Pura Valley and Tungai Conservancy in Samburu County by Interior CS Professor Kithure Kindiki, these families who have now become internally displaced persons are facing a humanitarian crisis.
Naomba serikali turudishe sisi kwetu kwa sababu hakuna kila kitu. Nakaa tu bila nguo, bila karampeti, bila karatasi. Sisi niko shida kabisa.
The women here, most of them clutching their babies on their backs, tell us that since they fled their homes, the government has not stepped in to provide any aid.
Hata tukiwa hapa mvua inanyesha na hatuna usaidizi yote kwa sababu hata hakuna pale tutaweza kuenda kwa sababu maboma imeharibika. Watoto waendi shule, hata sasa hatujui tutafanya nini.
In a press statement dated 15th March 2023, Professor Kindiki assured members of the public that the land and air operation to flush out bandits in the specified areas will ensure no individual is displaced from their home or places without support.
Na tungeona zaidi Waziri Kindiki ama ile special program wangekuja hapa kwanza kuletea watu hema kwa sababu inanyesha. Kuja wangekuletea watu chakula kwa sababu hawana. Wangeletea watu dawa kwa sababu mahali tunasimama sasa ni mahali baridi sana na watoto wataumia na watu wazima ama wazee wataumia.
Things that you should be doing now ni kupea watu hema ya kuishi hapa. Sisi tunajaribu kusaidia chakula, tunaomba pia nyinyi msaidie chakula.
And as the sun sets here in Loibongare, these families can only hope for better tomorrow and that the makeshift camps they made will survive the harsh weather conditions. Stanley Nyeringita, TV47.
Now, Kenya is on high alert following the confirmation of a Marburg outbreak in the neighboring country of Tanzania. The highly contagious Ebola-like disease that was detected following the death of 5 people, including a health worker, is spreading fast, with Tanzania confirming a total of 8 confirmed cases and another 161 contacts under close monitoring. The Port Health Services, through an internal memo dated 17th of March, has ordered for the enhanced screening of all travelers from all affected regions at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Zainab Mohammed tells us more.
Fear is rife at the country's entry points as the neighboring country of Tanzania confirms a first ever Marburg outbreak. The outbreak that originated in northwest Kagera has resulted in the death of 5 people, including a health worker. Kenya's Port Health Services, through an internal memo dated 17th of March, cautioned the relevant officers responsible for screening travelers at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to implement immediate and enhanced screening of passengers arriving from the affected region. At the border points, county health officers have also confirmed the notification from the national government to exercise extra caution in preventing cross-border transmission.
It's a discussion that's ongoing at national level. We have a forum for CECs in the entire country, and we are discussing that on our forum as CECs on all border countries. And and we're coming up with a plan to see how we can just take care of that. One of the things we're encouraging, I think Jomo Kenyatta has picked it up, they're already doing the testing, and surveillance is on high alert. We're also getting help from national government. They'll soon be coming to just make sure that our borders are safe.
Buda Point residents have expressed fear of the Ebola-like virus, calling on swift action from the government to contain the situation that could easily spill over to Kenya.
Serikali yetu ya Kenya, ile serikali kuu na hii serikali yetu ya Busia County, tunaomba wafanye collaboration ya kutosha ili hapa kwa mpaka watu kama inawezekana hata watu wafanye nini, wapimwe. Kwa hiyo ugonjwa ikiingia hapa Busia, na kulingana na vile njaa iko hivi, watu wanaenda huku kutafuta vile wanaweza kula, hii ugonjwa inaweza kutumaliza.
Kazi wa Busia yangu ni kuomba serikali kuu na serikali yetu ya gatuzi kwamba kuweza kuelimisha umma juu ya hatari za ugonjwa huu. Jambo kuu ni kwamba tusipoelimishwa hakuna lolote tunaweza fanya. Maana ni muhimu sana wizara ya afya kuelimisha umma kujua vile ugonjwa huu unavyokuja na jinsi tunaweza kujikinga.
The Marburg virus that has a death rate of 88% is from a virus family responsible for the Ebola virus and is transmitted to people from fruit bats.
Marburg virus is it's a type of a virus that we call hemorrhagic fever viruses. And these viruses, they're called hemorrhagic because they cause massive destruction to red blood cells, and we normally have severe multi-organ involvement. So a person with a hemorrhagic fever has a rapid progression to, it's most likely to die because there's a rapid multi-involvement of organ involvement.
The symptoms of the virus include high fever, severe vomiting, bleeding, headache and renal failure, which typically occurs within 7 days of infection.
Prevention, okay, the first one, because it's originally from the bats, meaning we normally call it a zoonotic disease, meaning it's originally not of the human, of human beings. So the first thing is to just avoid getting in contact with the bats, the African fruit bat. But once in humans, then it means the person who has contracted the virus, once it's suspected that this person could be having not only the Marburg but any hemorrhagic fever virus, then the first thing is to isolate that person and restricting any contact with the fluids from that person. And for maybe healthcare workers who are managing the person, they have to ensure that they are well protected before they handle the person.
Tanzania's outbreak comes barely a month after Equatorial Guinea confirmed a similar first ever outbreak of the virus in the beginning of the year. A total of 8 cases of the virus have been confirmed in Tanzania, 5 of whom are dead and 3 others are undergoing treatment. Another 161 contacts are currently under close monitoring. Zainab Mohammed, T47.
Tonight, President William Ruto is on the spot from the Law Society of Kenya and a section of rights groups after Cabinet approved the privatization bill which seeks to give Treasury powers to privatize parastatals without seeking parliamentary approval. The opposition is also not happy with the move, which the president says will not only raise money for the government but also give Kenyans a chance to own Kenyan entities.
Yesterday in Cabinet, we approved a new law that will provide mechanisms for Kenyans to own part of what is Kenya.
A move that is likely to become the latest political dog whistle if the reactions it has drawn are anything to go by. The move, which the government says will help in, among other things, help in raising revenue for the government by giving Kenyans a chance to own non-performing parastatals. So the cabinet approved a new law that gives Treasury powers to privatize public-owned enterprises without seeking parliamentary approval.
I made a commitment that government is going to divest so that we can democratize our wealth and allow more Kenyans to own a piece of what is Kenya, and especially entities that are currently Kenyan owned.
The bill, if passed by the parliament, will repeal the Privatization Act 2005, ushering in an easier policy framework that will oversee privatization in the country. Leaders drawn from the Azimio coalition have downplayed the move, saying the move is not meant to generate more funds to drive the government development agenda, but to benefit specific individuals in the ruling government. The approval of the bill by Cabinet will now strip MPs of their oversight role in the sale of state-owned corporations.
We object strongly to the planned sale of these assets, especially if it is to be done without the scrutiny of Parliament. We will not be party to this grand theft of public assets. If there was a time that members of Parliament needed to take a principled position and stand with their people, then it is now.
According to Law Society of Kenya President Eric Theuri, the decision to bypass Parliament opens up the possibility of abusing powers by the executive. Theuri opines that the privatization needs parliamentary approval for quality checks. However, according to governance experts, the move to privatize these institutions is contrary to the Kenya Kwanza's bottom-up economic model, which they were elected on.
You are in this country, Flora, and you never heard anyone mentioning that they are going to sell parastatals when they get into office as a way to address the economic thing. The only problem we have with this thing now is the timing, the government of the day, and how it is being done.
Some of the corporations that the government has earmarked for privatization include Chemelil Sugar, South Nyanza Sugar, Kabarnet Hotel, and Zoya Sugar. Others are Consolidated Bank and Development Bank of Kenya, Kenya Wine Agencies, Kenya Meat Commission, and public universities. Also in the list is KenGen and Kenya Pipeline.
We want the Member of Parliament for Kandui, where Nzoia Sugar sits, Honorable Makali, to come out. And I want to tell the people of Western, if this machine, if the land of Nzoia, if the land of Mumias is sold, the people to ask are the ones I've told you.
The government-sponsored bill will soon be tabled by National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah as the government seeks to shorten the process of selling parastatals. Flora Limukit, TV 47.
Moving on, President William Ruto has warned Azimio leader Raila Odinga over his plan of holding protests twice a week, likening the plan to what he terms as economic terrorism. This coming as the Azimio Brigade delivered a notice of their planned protests to the police, saying armed plainclothes individuals will be considered thugs.
Tonight, the Azimio and Kenya Kwanza factions are digging in on the hardline positions on the mass action protest, with each side vowing not to let up. Speaking during the launch of a pension underwriting portfolio that allows ordinary Kenyans to invest as low as 500 shillings, the president called out Odinga and the Azimio Brigade, likening their Monday and now Thursday protest to economic terrorism.
There is no reason whatsoever for anyone to stand in the way of free enterprise, disrupt business, or sabotage economic activity, or work as economic terrorists for personal selfish interest. Such impunity must be dealt with firmly and full accountability enforced to vindicate Kenya's commitment as a free market economy. Once again,
Ruto staff talking is coming at a time the country was reportedly lost at least 2 billion shillings on Monday demonstrations, now promising to deal with Odinga in order to safeguard the business environment for the hustlers who were greatly affected during the demonstration.
I also want to give you my commitment that the business and investment environment in Kenya is secure and conducive on a continuous basis. Through the rule of law, the government will take robust measures to honor and respect the rights of all and demonstrate that no one is above the law by decisively combating impunity, lawlessness, and disorder.
While this was going on, a section of Azimio top leadership was making their way to the Nairobi Regional Police Commander to formally serve the police with a notice of their planned demonstration scheduled for February 27 and 30th, 2023.
The Council of the Azimio met and decided that we will continue with demonstrations next week on Monday and Thursday. Thereafter, we shall be releasing other programs that we will have thereafter.
But we are not doing this because you require the permit from the police officers for you to hold demonstrations in this country. This is a right given to every Kenyan under the Constitution.
In their notification, Azimio says their procession will take place on all major streets in the Nairobi Central Business District, thereby asking Bungei to deploy enough police officers for security. But in what is likely to come as headwinds, Bungei now says that the opposition Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party's notification of protest to be held next week in a letter addressed to his office is null and void. According to Bungei, while not entirely wrong in doing so, the notification letter was addressed to the wrong person. The police boss, in a subsequent press address, said that the Azimio team should instead have addressed and served the letter to the officer commanding police station, OCS, of the area where they expect to stage their procession. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Now tonight, President William Ruto is facing a tough balancing act after Azimio coalition leader Raila Odinga declared 2 weekly mass protests to force the government to heed to the opposition's demands. The Azimio demos, likely to ruin businesses and put pressure on the economy, have left the president in the hunt for options on how to balance the demos and save a battered economy. The president's dilemma on how to tame the opposition has further been complicated by Azimio's mistrust in the international community to spearhead any truce.
President William Ruto's joke at the Nairobi Stock Exchange, making light of Azimio's declaration to hold mass action twice a week, is yet another hardline position in the ongoing political posturing with the opposition to resolve the ongoing impasse on the opposition demands.
I am looking forward to days in the very near future when we will be reporting every Monday and every Thursday to be the days that were traded highest in the Nairobi Stock Exchange.
On the other hand, an unrelenting Azimio, soon to hit the streets on Monday and Thursday next week to pile pressure on the president to act, has hardened its position against the government, laying out conditions for the government for normalcy to return.
The ball, in my view, falls squarely on William Ruto. When Uhuru Kenyatta was faced with similar circumstances, and we don't want to get into how those circumstances were, he became the bigger of the two and decided to climb down and come and listen to what the issues were. The rest of what happened is history. I know there are people who have been saying that all this is to try and get into handshake. We want to say, of the 3 issues that are key to us, handshake is not among the issues on the table.
President William Ruto is in a dilemma. The double weekly mass action will ruin businesses, inflicting more pain to the already battered economy, a threat not just to the president's international image, but to the country as an investment destination. The president's allies have ruled out dialogue between the two sides, saying Odinga is only after the handshake.
We cannot have that thing going on forever. It is time now that we deal with this thing once and for all, that the kiosk of handshake issues is no more. And even where I stand, I will advise the president that he cannot give in to this issue of Raila going for handshake after every election.
There was fear for dialogue when Azimio joined us. I'm telling you, people will be crying, nobody will be trying to listen to them. So we want the so-called opposition, the Raila team, to be checking on us. If we go wrong, let them come and press us and say you are going wrong here. But not to wait for after the election. Always we know about all these issues. When he loses, there is no one day he has said he has lost. He normally says he's winning and he's not going to the house in the hill.
Attempts by the president to weaken Odinga's political base by wooing a section of Azimio leaders have not borne fruit in stopping the momentum, handing the task to religious leaders and the international community to broker a truce. Azimio has deep mistrust for the international community, especially the United Kingdom, which the coalition claims lobbied the United States and the European Union to ignore their election rigging claims. An attempt by the United Kingdom to send emissaries to Odinga last week on Wednesday to end the demos came to a cropper after Odinga rejected their proposal. A letter sent to newsrooms by Odinga's spokesperson Dennis Onyango for the Azimio coalition deepens Azimio's mistrust of the international community after the opposition claimed the Ministry of Foreign Affairs sent a letter to foreign missions based here in Kenya, blaming Azimio for violence in Monday's demos, and that the international community has remained studiously silent. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Still in politics, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops now says it is ready to broker a truce between President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga in the wake of the mass protests called by the latter. The church has called out both political camps for failing Kenyans, as Gilbert Nalwa now reports.
The Catholic Church is now offering to mediate between President William Ruto and Azimio chief Raila Odinga in a bid to reduce the tension across the country, heralded by the mass protests by the opposition on Monday and their plan to organize the same twice a week from next week. While condemning the Azimio wing for organizing the protests, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops further criticized the police for using force to engage with protesters on Monday, a scene that resulted to loss of lives, injuries, and massive destruction of property.
We urge you, we plead with you not to join dangerous demonstrations.
The bishops also questioned the decision by the Kenya Kwanza administration to appoint 50 chief administrative secretaries in the current times when Kenyans are struggling with high cost of living, saying the decision does not resonate with the prevailing economic situation.
We are witnessing a high level of unemployment that has made our youth to lose hope and are disillusioned. In this background, the appointment of the bloated CSS does not show sensitivity to the prevailing economic situation.
Maintaining that dialogue was the only ultimate approach to reinstate peace in the country, Catholic bishops called on leaders in government to stop chest thumping and reconsider their decision to engage with the opposition in an effort to have the country move in one right direction.
The chest thumping from those in government, that they will not dialogue with the opposition, will not solve the concerns and problems Kenyans are saddled with. We wish to once more make a passionate appeal to the people of Kenya to refrain from continued demonstrations as announced by the leader of opposition.
They urged all Kenyans and leaders from all the political divide to respect the rule of law, saying that the demands that Kenya Kwanza should resign and be replaced by Azimio la Umoja was dangerous and against the country's constitution, considering that the election matter was dispensed in the Supreme Court.
The fact that it is legal to demonstrate should not make it a vehicle to paralyze the country, nor degenerate to forceful takeover of a legitimate government. There cannot be a good reason to resort to the standoff and defiance of our leaders to the detriment of Kenyans.
Reporting for TV47, my name is Gilbert Nalwa.
Now from that report by Gilbert Nalwa, let's get back now to the health bit. There are a number of buses that ply the route between Bukoba, the epicenter of Marburg virus, and Kampala in Uganda, some of which end up in certain destinations in Kenya. This according to the Ministry of Health that has this evening issued an alert cautioning Kenyans against the Marburg virus outbreak in Tanzania. The ministry says it has established that at least 2 buses with a capacity of 100 passengers ply Mwanza, Sirare and Isebania daily, with passengers originating from the epicenter of the outbreak. Further, the ministry says there's substantial human traffic between Tanzania and Kenya through informal land and maritime border crossing points along the southwestern border with northern Tanzania. Now, the public has been urged to be on high alert and report any suspected cases to the nearest health facility. From that high alert issued by the Ministry of Health, time now to take a very short break at 28 minutes past the hour. We'll be back with more. Don't go away.
As you enter a new phase of life, you may seem lost until you discover the passion within.
I'm happy that MKU decided to open a branch in Malindi to make work easier for those parents who have never been away from their kids or children.
That's all the equipment that I need to study and all the facilities that I need.
Simply one of the most beautiful and ultra-modern structure.
Join us at Mount Kenya University and Equip Africa Institute Malindi Odell Center to build your future. Intake in April for electronic learning and May for distance learning. Mount Kenya University.
Unlocking infinite possibilities.
Karibuni.
Mount Kenya. Platinums.
Welcome to the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center, the premier events venue. Our state-of-the-art facilities are designed to meet all your needs, from large-scale conferences to intimate meetings and everything in between. Located in the heart of Thika, the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center offers stunning views of the city skyline and is easily accessible from all major transportation hubs. Our facility features ample parking, free Wi-Fi, advanced audiovisual equipment, and our technical team is always on hand to ensure your event runs smoothly and seamlessly. Don't take our word for it. Make your next event unforgettable at the Mwai Kibaki Convention Center. Contact us today for bookings and reservations. Email multimedia@mku.ac.ke or call us on 0708 212204 or 0727 441733 or 0721 438 629 to learn more about our services and book your event.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. The National Assembly's Education Committee now says it has unearthed a national examination cheating racket allegedly being aided by the Kenya National Examinations Council. Here's more.
Hata sasa hapa Machakos najua mahali inazunguzwa maneno hapa na ni watu wa NEC, sio mtu yuko chini.
Speaking in Machakos after a fact-finding tour from education stakeholders in the area, the committee says there's evidence to suggest that there was cheating in the 2022 KCSE, which according to them was aided by the Kenya National Examination Council, which allegedly leaks examination papers to schools. National Assembly Education Committee Chair Julius Meli noted that after listening to stakeholders' views, they are saddened by the resurgence of the vice, which has been on lull just a few years ago.
So as a Committee of Education, we noted with concern the commercialization of examinations. We noted with concern that a number of schools, a number of institutions, both public and private, go to a great length to pay to access these exams beforehand. We've also noted that the multi-agency team that handle exams, more so the security team, have been hailed as having done a good job by the public. The exams are not stolen at the containers, the exams are well guarded, but the cheating starts way before exams reach the containers. That means a number of officers and the examination council handlers have been indicted. More so by the way the exams, the marking schemes get leaked before time, the way some schools access exam papers. We have a case where one person indicated a bit earlier on that he had seen some exam paper, reported it, and no action was done.
On his part, the Secretary of the Kuppet Machakos branch, Paul Musempi Katuku, noted that the National Examination Council has commercialized the exam, where the highest bidder in the education sector gets exam papers before distribution exercise begin.
In fact, it's long overdue, because we know cheating of exams has been there for quite a while, and that is a rot in our society. As a union, we are saying, and also members of County Education Board, we are part of management of education in this county and also in the country, and therefore we have given our views. Like we have said that the buck stops with the neck, Kenya National Examination Council, and it appears like NEC has not been able to manage exams in this country effectively.
Police officers who escort the exam to different locations have also been blamed for being silent even when they witness massive cheating taking place during the exam period.
What we've also noted with a lot of concern is that the officers who are actually mandated to take the work seriously actually take their work with a lot of casualness. They do not actually report even instances of cheating, even when the examiners have actually bring it to their attention.
The Parliamentary Committee on Education is expecting Mombasa on Thursday to gather more views, then go to Garissa on Friday. The probe was occasioned by the zero cheating claims in the results of the 2022 KCSE. Nicholas Mbai, TV47, Machakos County.
Thanks, Nicholas Mbai, for that. Now, as Kenya joins the world in marking World Water Day, over 1 billion people in the world are facing water scarcity, a situation worsened by the growing urban population and climate change. And as Elizabeth Atieno now tells us, counties like Elgeyo Marakwet, West Pokot, Bungoma, Samburu, Turkana, among others in the Asal regions, are still grappling with the water scarcity due to the ongoing drought situation.
This is the situation at Muno village in Elgeyo Marakwet County. Men riding motorbikes with empty jerry cans is a scene that welcomes us in this village, a clear indication that water is miles apart. So we trail the water vendors to this borehole. They are fetching water from the borehole, which is becoming deeper by the day due to decreasing water levels. That, however, does not deter this middle-aged woman from filling her 6 20-liter jerry cans. For residents here, every drop counts, as even animals fight for the scarce commodity.
Ama kuna chemchemi hapa tu ndio mahali ambapo area hii kwa karibu 5 kilometers circumference wanatumia hapa. Zaidi yenye tunalia sana ni shule. Shule sasa tumepanga siku ya shule wanakuchanga Monday asubuhi na Wednesday na Friday. Sasa jioni tutawajia shule ndio waweze kutumia.
The main cause of drying is actually the destruction of our catchment areas through the loss of forest cover.
This issue of water shortages has occurred just because of the destruction of our catchment areas, our wetlands.
Yeah, we've talked about the demand for more agricultural land is actually endangering the wetlands.
Right now, the global urban population facing water scarcity is about 1 billion people, or 1 billion, so it should be around 2 billion by 2050.
An almost similar situation is witnessed in West Pokot County. Residents are forced to come and purchase water in this borehole, which is kilometers away from their homes. To make matters worse, locals here are forced to wait for hours before getting the water, as it is used by schools in the area.
Hapa tumekuja kufua, huku nyumbani tunajua tumetoka mbali, hakuna maji. Imetubidi tukuja hapa kufua. Ndio tunasherehekea siku ya leo, siku ya maji duniani. Ni mzuri pia kutumia maji tunasherehekea kwa hiyo, lakini changamoto maji iko mbali, haiko karibu.
Mimi ni msachi wa maji, pia ni mtumishi wa maji. Katika hii kaunti mimi nasema 40% ndio watu wanaweza kupata maji kwa urahisi, lakini 60% hivi kuna ugumu wa maji.
In Machakos, residents have been urged to harvest rainwater for future use due to the ongoing effects of climate change. A similar call has been made by the United Nations Water Department, which has confirmed that 75% of water is used in agriculture.
For those who saw what happened yesterday, after the rains, the grounds are very dry, meaning that there's been a lot of humidity and the heat on the ground. Our call to the people of Machakos is kindly, as the rains progress, because we've had reports from the meteorological department and we don't know for how long these rains are going to be there. We plead, we give a humble plea to the people that kindly harvest this water.
Nearly 1/3 of the world's cities that are dependent on surface water as their primary source are facing competition with agriculture. Ironically, this is the same water required to grow the food to feed the cities in the first place.
According to the United Nations, the current water scarcity affecting almost half of the global population is due to the rapidly increasing urban population, further calling for the increase of water financing to an estimated $600 billion to $1 trillion so as to attain Sustainable Development Goal 6 on water.
10% of the global population currently lives in areas that are high or critical water stress. In our report, we said that up to 3.5 billion people live under conditions of water stress at least 1 month a year.
Which is the situation in Bungoma.
Estimating that 2027, we are going to have 50% from 25%. So we'll double our water provision to the people of Bungoma.
Kenya has today joined the world in marking World Water Day themed Accelerating Change to Solve the Water and Sanitation Crisis. However, based on the situation in some parts of the country, the goal of ensuring every Kenyan has access to clean water is far from seeing the light of day. Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47.
Moving on, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi has said his ministry will do its best to ensure no Kenyan dies of hunger. Speaking while appearing before the committee in Parliament, Linturi said leaders should come together to participate in reducing the gap. And as Micah Gongo now tells us, the CS asked Kenyans to find alternative meals to ugali due to the current high unga prices.
Appearing before the House Committee on Agriculture and Livestock Tuesday, the CS explained that the world is experiencing a shortage of maize, making it difficult for the government to purchase the precious commodity in its bid to make it available and affordable.
So the decision that the body that came with the idea of this subsidy was not a decision of the main cabinet, and National Security Council is not part of cabinet.
Linturi asked Kenyans to embrace rice and potatoes as an alternative to the expensive ugali. The CS revealed that 1.4 million tons of maize and another 1.1 tons of rice are expected in the country in 1 week and 3 days in an effort to address the current food shortage.
And the only details that are not in this contract are the details of the person who, or the miller who was being given the contract to supply whatever kilos of maize flour to whichever area.
The government will also bring in a further 500,000 tons of yellow maize for animal feed. On Tuesday, President William Ruto-led cabinet allocated 23.96 billion shillings for drought interventions. The funds will be used to provide interventions in food assistance, water, livestock, peace and security from April to October, amid concerns that the situation is getting worse. At the moment, the price of maize flour retails at about 200 shillings per 2 kilograms packet, leading to anti-government demonstrations. Led by Azimio leader Raila Odinga, President William Ruto asked Kenyans to be patient amid the high cost of living, worsened by high fuel and food prices. The CS also implored local farmers to sell their maize reserves to the National Cereals and Produce Board to fortify the grain's availability and deal with the current drought.
Previously, the commodity is domiciled in NCPB. The only thing you needed, the council is domiciled in the ministry. The only thing you needed is just a matter of, under one PS.
I can confirm that all the millers have been paid, but National Cereals and Produce Board has not been paid the amount of work they did, the commission fees. So the amount outstanding of the 1.3 billion is the amount outstanding to National Cereals and Produce Board.
If this was a subsidy program, and to avoid the sale of this maize or flour beyond the agreed price, probably there was need for us to have an identification mark, maybe a stamp or something else.
He explained that some of the countries Kenya had engaged are reluctant to share their maize. Linturi emphasized that farmers should sell the surplus from the previous year's harvest before the approval of duty-free maize to save them from imminent heavy losses. Mike Kagwongo, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, still in the corridors of Parliament, former National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani has told the Joint Committee on Finance and Communications that the Telkom Kenya buyout was necessary. Yatani said the government had only two options at the time and that the previous shareholders were leaving the country and therefore needed to urgently dispose of their shares at Telkom Kenya. Andrin Kilemi tells us more.
Bwana PS, there's something which we have noted.
In a 3-hour session, the Joint Department Committee on Finance and Planning and that of Communication, Information and Innovation engaged the former Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani in responding to questions regarding the 6.1 billion Telkom deal.
Asante mwenyekiti.
The committee wanted to know how the government made payments to buy Telkom shares from private hands days before last year's general election.
If you are only two shareholders, who are you talking with as a second shareholder?
The reason why you are getting back the shares was on the basis of national security. And as we speak, the same people who are in Cayman Islands or they're in London or they're in Mauritius are still owning Telkom Kenya. You wanted to repart back the shares citing national security. Are we secure?
The ex-CS who served under the previous regime told the Joint Committee that the Telkom buyout was necessary as the previous shareholders were leaving the country and needed to urgently dispose of their shares. He further told the committee that he did not directly or indirectly benefit from any monies accruing to the 6.1 billion shillings that is under investigations.
The person who was representing Treasury is this Investment Director General. And all these correspondences and the engagement, we had empowered him on behalf of government, on behalf of the National Treasury, to be overseeing this. And to my best of knowledge, he's done a very good job.
You were the government face on these transactions. You were the lead. And you told us that there were two shareholders of Telkom at the time of these transactions. One was Government of Kenya, the other one was Helios. You were the face of the government. Now, I'd like to know, throughout all these transactions, did you ever have any interaction with anybody from Jamhuri Holdings Limited?
In a shocking revelation, however, Yatani said that he had never interacted with anyone from Jamhuri Holdings Limited, raising questions among MPs as to whether the government was dealing with faceless people. The twists and turns in the Telkom probe continues to raise questions with the Joint Committee on Finance and Communications, yet to single out people who siphoned taxpayers' money in the 6.1 billion shillings Telkom deal, whose scrutiny continues Thursday. Andrin Kilemi, TV47, Nairobi.
Well, thank you, Andrin Kilemi, for that. That report there by Andrin Kilemi now takes us to the world of business. Welcome to the latest in the world of business. President William Ruto now says that the government is committed to easing the burden of availability of dollars in the economy. The president says the government is in talks with Central Bank of Kenya to reinstate the interbank foreign exchange market that is expected to liberate the country exchange rate that has been depreciating for about 15 months from 103 shillings to 138 shillings against the hard currencies like the dollar and euro.
As a government, we have made innovative intentions and undertaken innovative strategy to ensure that we ease the burden of availability of dollar in our market. We just concluded last week an arrangement, a market-driven arrangement in our fuel sector that will see Kenya access all our fuel needs on a deferred 6-month credit. That will eliminate a demand of $500 million every month from this market. And therefore, for the people who work numbers, I am giving you free advice that those of you who are holding dollars, you surely might go into losses. You better do what you must do, because this market is going to be different in a couple of weeks. And secondly, through the central bank, we are having conversations to reinstate the interbank exchange market that has since not worked. I am looking forward to days in the very near future when we will be reporting every Monday and every Thursday to be the days that were traded highest in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. There is no reason whatsoever for anyone to stand in the way of free enterprise, disrupt business, or sabotage economic activity.
Moving on, CIC Insurance Group has posted 64% growth in net profit to 1.1 billion shillings for the year ended December 2022, a rise from 668 million shillings in the previous year. The insurer said the performance was driven by a growth in premiums, which increased from 19.7 billion shillings to 23.7 billion shillings in 2022.
Into the future, digitization is one of the key focus areas. So we have implemented quite a number of digital solutions, live business customer mobile apps, automation of key performance management, and other solutions such as automated claim vetting for media division, among many others. I think this is an area as a business that we've just scratched the surface, and we will continue doing much more, including digitization being the driver of our microinsurance penetration to the market. Cost management has been quite a key strategy as well. And one of the biggest costs that we have in our balance sheet, or in our P&L, is actually the finance cost out of the loan we have with one of the banks. And one of the key things that we are doing is to actually dispose of our Kiambu land through a project dubbed Ushirika Gardens. And as you can see there, that is the launch that happened on 2nd of November. And it's becoming very successful so far, having sold about 47 plots out of the first phase.
Well, from the world of business, now let's get the latest from the world of sports. Harambee Stars players are elated to be back in the squad for the national team for a friendly match scheduled on the 28th of March against Iran. Speaking during an interview, Kenya midfielder Kenneth Muguna said it was tough when Stars were barred from international matches due to FIFA suspension because representing the national team and making it to the highest level is a great privilege, while Richard Odada, who plays for Philadelphia Union in the Major League Soccer in the USA, said that everyone was looking forward to the match.
Because, you know, representing the national team, I think, is the highest level of football. So it was tough, but we were patient, and we know that after all those things, we are going to be back The mood is good. Everybody is friendly with each other, and the young players, the experienced ones, we are all helping each other to make sure that we form a group which can perform outside there.
I feel power because tumengoja like almost 1 year, you know, and tukiwa kwa clubs, wachezaji wengine wanaenda international breaks and we are not going, so like we're just waiting for this kind of opportunity.
Moving on, the national senior women's team Harambee Starlets will return to action in a friendly against Albania on April 11th this year in Albania. The side, who have not played since 2021, will travel to play the European nation, which is 78 places above Kenya in the FIFA women's ranking. The team is expected to enter camp on Thursday, March 30th this year. National Rugby Sevens head coach Damian McGrath has named a 13-man squad for the HSBC 7 Rugby Series that is scheduled to take place in Hong Kong and Singapore. The squad will be led by Captain Nelson Oyo, with Johnson Olindi and John Olwoch returning to the squad. Daniel Taabu, George Oro, Billy Odhiambo, Kevin Wekesa, Tony Omondi, Herman Humwa, Nelson Oyo, Edmund Anya, Brian Tanga, Alvin Otieno, Jeff Olwoch,